Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. A little while back I showed you my new EDC, which was a Benchmade Infidel, and Hammer's also been looking at getting a new EDC and settled upon this one. It's the Benchmade Phaeton. It's a model 4600. He was looking for something that was a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to carry, and he was looking for a single edge blade. And of course this gives you both of those features. It's a little more compact, and it is of course a single edge blade, but it's still an automatic out the front. So we picked this thing up and talk to you a little bit about it. One cool little thing I'll just show you, and this is kind of minor, but the case looks like it's cork. It's actually foam, but it kind of looks like cork. And then it comes with this little bag with a little closure on it. So you can put the knife in the bag if you're not actually going to want to carry it out in the open. It doesn't come with a MOLLE setup like the other one, but it is part of their Black series, which is their tactical knives, heavy-duty knives, their higher-end series of knives. MSRP on this is around $350, but you can often find it a little less expensively. It's a well-made knife, just like all the other Benchmade knives, and it's an out the front, which means you operate a lever or a little button to extend it or retract it. It retracts and extends very smoothly. You are tensioning the spring for both directions so that it locks out and it won't slide back automatically, and takes a decent amount of tension to actually get it all the way to the end to extend it. So you're very unlikely to accidentally catch this in your pocket. You're putting things in and out of your pocket or your hand and catch this lever. If you get it halfway and you don't get it all the way, or you kind of slide up against it, your finger slides off it, it's not going to extend. So it's unlikely to fire in your pocket and end up with a knife extended in your pocket. However, when you actually intend to extend it, you'll see the serrations in the ramp on this. They're aggressive enough that when you want to extend it, it's very, very easy to do it. You don't slip off, you get a good grip, and it's very positive and reliable. It does have a safety feature in that if it accidentally fires, let's say, up against your hand, it won't penetrate. It'll poke you. I'm sure you would find it unpleasant because it does have a nice sharp tip, but the knife won't actually penetrate and lock and damage or go through your hand. If it doesn't lock all the way out, which depending on how much it hits the surface, if I take a little more direct on, you'll see that the knife didn't extend all the way. All you have to do is give it a snap. Now it locked out. So you won't be left in a case of the gun or the knife being inoperable, but it's not going to go through your hand, and you easily get it back into action, and it then operates just as smoothly as it did before. So let's talk about a few of the dimensions, the specs on this knife. As I did mention earlier, it's a single edge knife, and it's got a very robust thick at the back, and then tapers down to a nice sharp edge. And these do come out of the box razor sharp, and so you got to be careful with them. This is a non-serrated blade, so it's smooth all the way up, and it's a drop point blade, coming right up to a point at the tip. The steel on this is a very high-end steel. It's a very high-quality steel that is rather expensive, which partially goes into the MSRP of $350 of the knife. It's CPM 30SV, S30SV. I'm sorry, CPM S30V. Say that 3 times fast. Which is it's a steel alloy. It's a stainless steel. It's extremely hard. It does hold its edge very, very well. It's an alloy of carbon, chromium, vanadium, and molybdenum. So it's a popular high-end steel used in more expensive knives where you're looking for a really robust steel. There's less expensive stainless steels out there, and if you get a $100 knife, you're not going to get this steel. But in this series, in their Black series, they tend to use the higher-end steels like this. There's another variant of it, CPM S35V, that has a few characteristics that make the edge a little bit more resistant to minor chipping, but this particular one is the S30. The clip on this one happens to be reversible. It's a deep carry clip, so it comes very up to the top, so when you've got it in your pocket, only about that much of the knife is going to show. The clip can be reversed and set to the other side for left or right hand carry, and that can matter because the button's only on one side. So if you're going to do it with right hand carry versus left hand carry, you might need that clip reversed to have it oriented correctly in your pocket. From a dimension standpoint, it's 8.08 inches long when it's extended. It's 4.63 inches long when it's closed. The handle itself is a little under 1 inch wide, and it's under 1/2 inch thick. The blade itself is 3.45 inches long, and the sharpened section of the blade is about 3¼ inches long. There's just a small section of the blade that's not sharpened. So pretty much you've got almost all blade from the handle on out. The body of it is 6061 T6 aluminum, and it's anodized. So it's a very, very durable case, and the finish on this is going to hold up very well and turn out to be a very long-lived finish. We've got a little serration up here at the front and some contouring at the top and the bottom that make it where you really get a good grip on it. When it's in your hand, you're going to have a good grip. It's not going to go anywhere, but it's not abrasive or it's not scratchy. It's not going to bite you. So it's comfortable to hold this knife. Now, given that it's a little bit on the thin side, it can kind of be a little, awkward to hold until you get used to it. A fatter knife is going to, take up a little bit more of your hand. But I find it very comfortable to hold, very easy to hold, and that little bit thinness is a good trade-off for the overall size of it. This drops into a pocket very comfortably and really just kind of goes out of the way. On the bottom of it, there's a little serration here, which adds to that grip. When you've got your fingers around the front of it, it adds to that grip. And then the rest of it is smooth with a little cutout here, so that it kind of fits right in with 1 or 2 fingers holding onto it really well. The butt end of it is rounded and smooth, a little bit of serration here and here to make it easier to grab. And one thing I would like about it is that it doesn't have anything protruding from the bottom. There's no DNA collector or window breaker or any of those other things, because this is going to get hit by your hand as you're doing different things. When it's sitting in your pocket, you're going to hit it with your hand, reaching in to get your keys. And when you got some kind of a sharp protrusion on here, it may look tacky cool, but it chews up your own hands. And it really doesn't do you any good to have your DNA all over the DNA collector. So I like the fact that this knife is smooth at the back and smooth and contoured all the way around, so that it's smooth. It's not going to interfere with you when you're doing things that are going to bring your hand up against the body of the closed knife. Obviously I don't want my hand on the business end of it, but it's not going to tear you up. So the last thing I'll do is, I did mention the Infidel, and one of the things that drove Hammer to choose this knife is it was a little bit more compact. And the Infidel doesn't look a whole lot bigger when you set them side by side, but when it's in your pocket, it's a noticeable difference. It's kind of the difference between like a single stack and a double stack when you're talking about firearms. The Infidel is noticeably thicker, front to back. It's a little bit longer. The profile is a little bit wider. You can almost hide the Phaeton underneath that. And then of course when you put the blades out, you've got a much longer blade, and you have a single edge. You have a single edge on the Phaeton and a double edge on the Infidel. And then the operating mechanism is different. To operate the Infidel, you've got to bring your finger around to operate the front lever, and then possibly rotate it back depending on which way you want to hold it. I find you get a better grip on it this way. With the Phaeton, your firing grip and fighting grip are roughly the same. You're going to have the knife in the same basic grip. So there's an advantage to both. One of the advantages to this is it's a little less important which way the clip is turned as it is on this, because with the thing on the side, you can kind of rotate your thumb around either way, whichever hand picked it up. With this one, if you've got the knife upside down, you're going to have a hard time operating it. But that's, with the reversible clip, entirely mitigates that. So overall, whichever one of these you chose, you're going to get a very good knife. But if you were looking for something a little bit slimmer, a little bit lighter, comes in at 3.1 ounces, and especially if a single edge knife was more along the lines of what you wanted, then this would be a good choice. Now keep in mind that because it's an out the front and it's an automatic, in many jurisdictions this would be considered a switchblade. And they're not always illegal, but they almost always don't fall into a pocket knife territory. So this would be treated as a weapon under most jurisdictions. So consider that if you're choosing this knife, where you're going to carry it, where you're going to use it, whether or not you would need something that was treated as a common pocket knife, something that didn't have automatic features, or if you've got a concealed carry license and you can have an actual weapon where you're going to be, factor that in. But all of that aside, the legality of it aside, it's an excellent, well-made knife. It's good for self-defense, and it's good for various utility functions with the really high-performance steel. So if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, and have a great day. Thank you.